Parents, teachers, and students, in this video, we will explore Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's life, his poem Psalm of Life, and the historical background in which he published it. We will tackle critical reading questions and learn Latin and Greek root-related vocabulary, literary devices, psychological terms, and general academic vocabulary. Thank you for liking the video and for learning with us. Learning target. I can read Longfellow's biographical sketch to become familiar with his life and the historical context in which he lived. Then, I can analyze his poem Psalm of Life and will apply high-level vocabulary, literary devices, and psychological terms to gain a deeper understanding of the poem and to increase my vocabulary. Who is Henry Wadsworth Longfellow? They would never hold their baby. Mary Potter Longfellow miscarried in October 1835 while in Europe with her husband, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Mary Potter Longfellow accompanied Longfellow as he endeavored to buttress his mastery of German and augment his proficiency in the Scandinavian tongues in preparation for his new professorship awaiting him at Harvard University. When her health began a precipitous decline just weeks after miscarrying, outright panic set in. Mary died on November 29, 1835. Lost, Longfellow found himself in work. Work saved him. He immersed himself in German literature in Heidelberg, Germany. There he met the august poet William Cullen Bryant. This meeting exalted Longfellow and renewed his zeal for writing poetry. He struck out alone for Switzerland and met wealthy Boston merchant Nathan Appleton and his charming daughter Frances Appleton. Longfellow continued his journey with the Appleton family and became enamored with Frances Appleton. By 1837, Longfellow was ensconced in his new position at Harvard and ready to propose to Miss Appleton. She declined. Longfellow was devastated. Lost again, Longfellow found. Or at least went in search of himself. In work. Work saved him. His most celebrated poem, Psalm of Life, appeared in 1838. In it, Longfellow rejoins, or rebuttals, the author of the biblical book of Psalms, believed to be King David. From stanza 1. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream. From stanza 3. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow find us farther than today. After the loss of a child, his wife's death, and the devastation of a proposal declined, Longfellow was more than acquainted with panic's grip. America, too, was in the grip of its own panic, the Panic of 1837. Former United States President Andrew Jackson laid the groundwork for economic cataclysm when he commandeered federal funds from the Second Bank of the United States and deposited them into state banks. Jackson believed the Second Bank of the United States fleeced ordinary citizens. The state banks, however, were not wise in their fiduciary responsibility and fueled Wild Western speculation. State banks printed their own money and issued too many loans. Inflation soared. Governmental land prices ballooned. Citizens began importing more goods than the country exported. Beginning in 1835, widespread crop failures brought cataclysm to an already suffering economy. The suffering would last 6 years. This is the national context of Longfellow's Psalm of Life. Longfellow has been criticized as writing poetry devoid of protest. His esteem today is a fraction of his stature during his lifetime. His 75th birthday was celebrated across the nation. Today, however, his acclaim is eclipsed by Emily Dickinson and overshadowed by Walt Whitman. Perhaps, then, Walt Whitman's wisdom, more so than Longfellow's bust in Westminster Abbey, is proper epigraph for Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's place in American prose and verse. To the ungracious complaint charge of his want of racy nativity and special originality, I shall only say that America and the world may well be reverently thankful can never be thankful enough for any such singing bird vouchsafed out of the centuries, without asking that the notes be different from those of other songsters, adding what I have heard Longfellow himself say, that ere the new world can be worthily original, and announce herself and her own heroes, she must be well saturated with the originality of others, and respectfully consider the heroes that lived before Agamemnon. He wrote for the forlorn that they might endure suffering and seek sublimation. Of the fireside poets, William Cullen Bryant, John Greenleaf Whittier, Oliver Wendell Holmes, and James Russell Lowell, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow stands foremost. Thank you for subscribing. And liking. Let's tackle some sentence completions. From his childhood to his young adulthood, Longfellow had led a trauma-free life until the death of his child and his wife. A. Fleecing. B. Cataclysm. C. Buttressing. D. Exhortation. Longfellow turned to work as an act of, after he lost his child and his wife. A. Augmentation. B. Rejoining. C. Sublimation. D. Exaltation. Longfellow's zeal for writing and his desperate need to. His suffering produced profound poetry that soothed a nation and Longfellow himself. A. Exhort. B. Fleece. C. Buttress. D. Sublimate. At the beginning of his career, Longfellow met the preeminent poet William Cullen Bryant, whose encouragement and tutelage exhorted Longfellow to keep striving toward his poetic purpose. A. August. B. Precipitous. C. Fiduciary. D. Devoid. When Longfellow met the lovely Frances Appleton, he became as with her as he had always been with the written word. A. Fleeced. B. Endeavored. C. Enamored. D. Devoid. Longfellow's love for Frances Appleton was just as in his heart as his love of poetry. A. Exhorted. B. Rejoined. C. Enamored. D. Ensconced. And now,
Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's Psalm of Life. What the heart of the young man said to the psalmist. Tell me not, in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Who is the narrator of Psalm of Life? A. The psalmist. B. The young man. C. The heart. D. King David. C. The heart is correct. Before the narrator speaks, Longfellow writes what the heart of the young man said to the psalmist. By choosing the heart of the young man, Longfellow invokes the romantic ethos of emotion and intuition. Longfellow's Psalm of Life is A ballad poem, B. written in quatrains of a BAB rhyme scheme, C. a sonnet poem, D. haiku. B. written in quatrains of a BAB rhyme scheme is correct. Numbers in line 1 and slumbers in line 3 establish the A pattern. Dream in line 2 and seem in line 4 establish the B pattern. Each stanza is written in 4 lines. In Tell Me Not in Mournful Numbers, the heart of the young man is being choose all that apply. Disputatious, argumentative or pugnacious. To King David, contrary. Opposed or clashing or antithetical. To King David, obsequious, servile or ingratiating. To King David, argumentative, opposed or disputatious, with the Book of Psalms. Not enjoyment, and not sorrow, is our destined end or way, but to act, that each tomorrow find us farther than today. How might each of the following words be used to explicate stanza 3? Antithesis. Direct opposite or inverse. Juxtaposition. Think Venn diagram. Exhortation, emphatically urging to do something. Parallelism, similar phrases or lines to reinforce or emphasize meaning. Longfellow's narrator, the heart of the young man, declares that focusing on antithetical paths, enjoyment, and sorrow, is asinine. Instead, the heart exhorts the reader, so that each tomorrow find us farther than today. Longfellow's narrator wields the power of similar syntax in not enjoyment and in not sorrow, to declare no path parallels that of action so that each tomorrow find us farther than today. Longfellow's reader, and those who sat round the fireside listening, found themselves gripped by panic and craved surcease to their sorrow. When the economic panic began, enjoyment grew scarce. The heart of the young man juxtaposed the joy they craved and the consuming sorrow with the actions they must take so that each tomorrow find them farther than today. Art is long, and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still, like muffled drums, are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb, driven cattle. Be a hero in the strife. Art is long, and time is fleeting, serves as A. A rebuttal to the heart of the young man. B. A transition in subject matter. C. A parallel rebuttal to Longfellow. D. An allusion to the enjoyment and sorrow. Trust no future, howe'er pleasant. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present. Heart within, and God o'erhead. Longfellow's intention with act in the living present, is to choose all that apply. Concede, give in, the argument to King David. Rejoin, archaic diction for argue, the author of the Book of Psalms. Buttress, strengthen or fortify, the reader and listener's psyche, state of mind. Allude, refer to earlier lines in the poem. Lives of great men all remind us we can make out lives sublime, and, departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. In departing, leave behind us, the word departing is A. An understatement for the narrator's exhortation, B. A symbol for the author's central theme, C. A euphemism for the end of life, D. Juxtaposition to time. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and, departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints, that perhaps another, sailing o'er life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing, shall take heart again. The atmosphere in stanzas 7 to 8 can be stated as, choose all that apply, exhorting, urging, pressing toward better, apathetic, indifferent due to lack of energy or concern, contemptuous, scornful, expressing disdain, evocative, bringing strong images, memories, or feelings to mind. Let us, then, be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait. With a heart for any fate, has the effect of A. Paralleling the Book of Psalms, B. Rebutting the author of the Book of Psalms. C. Becoming mournful numbers. D. Becoming like dumb, driven cattle. By choosing the heart of the young man as the narrator of Psalm of Life, Longfellow frames the poem as a type of A. Internal soliloquy, B. Obsequious interrogation, C. Dramatic monologue, D. Rational romanticization.
Parents, teachers, and students, we work hard to earn your like. We work hard to earn your subscribe. Thank you for learning with WHAMMQ. P.S. Please look in the coming months for videos on Anne Bradstreet, Emily Dickinson, Edgar Allan Poe, and Walt Whitman.
Let's tackle some sentence completions. Longfellow's heart, narrator, the reader to be a hero in the strife. A. Surceases. B. Concedes. C. Exhorts. D. Incites. C. Exhorts is correct. Exhortation is the noun form and means urging and beseeching and enjoinder. By acting, in the living present, with a heart for any fate, the reader will his or her spirit in the bivouacs of life. A. Ensconce. B. Buttress. C. Exhort. D. Incite. B. Buttress is correct. Buttress means prop and support and abutment and shore. Psalm of Life is an to make life sublime and, departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. A. Augmentation. B. Provocation. C. Antithesis. D. Exhortation. D. Exhortation is correct. Exhortation means insistence and beseeching and charge. The reader must act in the living present, so that no turn the reader into dumb, driven cattle. A. Surcease. B. Rejoinder. C. Zealot. D. Cataclysm. D. Cataclysm is correct. Cataclysm means a momentous and violent event marked by overwhelming upheaval and demolition. Longfellow sets his heart of the young man, who declares act in the living present, as the of the author of the Book of Psalms, who presents life as dust thou art, to dust returnest. A. Antithesis. B. Evocation. C. Surcease. D. Contempt. A. Antithesis means contrast and converse and inverse and direct opposite. Rather than say the word death, Longfellow uses the rhetorical device in we can make our lives sublime, and, departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. A. Parallelism. B. Euphemism. C. Antithesis. D. Juxtaposition. B. Euphemism is the answer. Euphemism means softening and politeness and gentilism. Longfellow's narrator exhorts the reader not to seek enjoyment or of sorrow, but to act that each tomorrow find is farther than today. A. Rejoinder. B. Surcease. C. Buttressing. D. Precipitation. B. Surcease is the answer. Surcease means pause and break and interlude and cease. Nowhere in Psalm of Life does Longfellow's narrator use the word death or dying, but uses the departing. A. Antithesis. B. Rhyme scheme. C. Epigraph. D. Euphemism. D. Euphemism is correct. Euphemism means substitute and politeness and gentilism. Thank you for learning with us. Please check out our Latin and Greek root video series.